We're now going to talk about the Prague Spring in Czechoslovakia in 1968. So, first thing we need to know is that Czechoslovakia had been pretty much the perfect satellite state of the Soviet Union since 1948. It had been led by a gentleman by the name of Antonin Novotny since 1957, but he'd started to become unpopular because he was a traditional hardline communist and he had not kind of swiftly followed the process of de-Stalinization implemented by Khrushchev. The Czech economy went into a serious decline in the 1960s and the standard of living in Czechoslovakia dropped off dramatically. The Soviet Union tried to help with the Czech industry, but it didn't work. Novotny's attempts to improve the Czech economy did not work, and eventually Brezhnev, the Soviet leader, showed no support for Novotny, and Novotny was replaced by a gentleman by the name of Alexander Dubček in January 1968. In the spring of 1968, Dubček brought in his Prague Spring reforms. It was called by the people as socialism with a human face. Dubček was a staunch communist, but he wanted people to believe in communism, so he wanted to remove some of the darker elements of it. 5 steps were: he wanted greater political freedom for the people in Czechoslovakia. He was going to implement a 10-year program of political change to move towards democratic socialism. There would also be a reduction in the powers of the secret police. You could no longer be arrested without trial. There would be a removal of travel restrictions. People would have the freedom to travel into the West. And as well as that, there would be more representation and there would be more rights to trade unions. Many Czechs liked these reforms and wanted further reforms, and they wanted more freedoms and pushed for greater changes. Many communist leaders in Eastern Europe and Soviets feared that these ideas would spread from Czechoslovakia and it would be the end of the Warsaw Pact. Brezhnev received a letter urging him to do something about the problems in Czechoslovakia. On August the 9th, the Yugoslav leader Tito, mistrusted by the Soviet regime in Russia, was given an enthusiastic reception in Czechoslovakia. This was the final straw. On August the 20th, the Soviets invaded Czechoslovakia